I guess I did a video on the pendulum divination system. I did a little short thing on the ching, which is the greatest divination system of all time. 2,000 years ago, they said, we love the I Ching, but we can't make heads or tails out of it. So we wrote this, and you'll get 80-90% of the time you feel like you got a definitive answer. With the I Ching, 1%, 2%, 3%. You get a lot from the I Ching, but you gotta dig around in the dirt. You gotta contemplate it forever. And it's not gonna be a yes or no answer. You know, a lot of the time it's not gonna be a yes or no answer. So, but I thought, I love the I Ching. I don't do it as much as I used to, but in Shambhala, on the Shambhala day, which is a Tibetan New Year, big deal, they say whatever you do on that day is magnified 1,000 times in virtuous or unvirtuous things. But one virtuous thing we like to do is cast our I Ching for the year. As a person, as a Dharma center, as a group, collectively and individually, or whatever. I don't know, I've found a few good I Ching books over the years. Now I use 7 books when I do the I Ching. Sometimes one is better than the last one. This is the thing. What started it all. This German guy named Wilhelm translated the I Ching. I don't know when it was, 1800s. I don't know when it was. It's still the kind of definitive version. It's just beautiful, 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 beautiful. You can contemplate it for a long time, long time. This thing is really good, man. The I Ching, Book of Change, is considered the oldest of the Chinese classic and has throughout history commanded unsurpassed prestige and popularity. Containing several layers of text and given numerous levels of interpretation, it has captured continuous attention for well over 2,000 years. It has been considered a book of fundamental principles by philosophers, politicians, mystics, alchemists, yogins, diviners, sorcerers, and more recently by scientists and mathematicians. I don't know this Buddhist I Ching. This guy, he died in 1655. He wrote commentaries on dozens of Buddhist texts and Chinese classics. Was proficient in both esoteric and exoteric studies. His work influenced the development of modern Buddhism in China. Thomas Clary translated. He's unprecedented in the kind of stuff he brings to our attention. This will knock your socks off, man. This guy's really talented too. Carol K. Anthony, A Guide to the I Ching. Amazing, amazing, amazing. It's kind of a simple book with a simple approach. He divides everything into artha, comma, and moksha. Artha is like your everyday life. Kama is like your love life. Moksha is like your spiritual life. So you can ask it with one of those in mind, but either way, you're liable to get something from the other. Short, pithy, but really good. I don't know. It's a completely different interpretation. This is a beautiful book called The Illustrated I Ching by R.L. Wing. R.L. Wing's done a lot of great stuff. It's got like a picture. He's usually got an old painting from ancient China. It's really tied into China a lot and their different histories and periods. He's got some good stuff. It's short. It's got some beautiful imagery. This thing is called The Portable Dragon, The Western Man's Guide to the I Ching by R.G.H. Siu, S-I-U. He'll just have like 10 or 15 passages in Western literature that just nails it. I mean, it seems like it's out of left field or something, but it always brings an aspect into play that's very interesting to contemplate. And it, really brings it into our Western. There's nothing Eastern coming from this. It's just a Western man's approach, a Western man's guide to what the I Ching is doing. The Complete I Ching, the definitive translation by Taoist Master Alfred Wang. I'm impressed with this book. In terms of a modern day, bringing it up to modern day, but still retaining the Taoist character, I think it's very good. But by the time you read 7 of these, you got really a well-balanced view of what it's saying. You're still not going to get a yes or no 80% of the time, but you're going to have a picture. It's going to be wonderful to contemplate. I don't know, I did like a intensive study, like one semester in college, my main thing was studying the Taoism, studying the I Ching and writing a paper. And I was doing Tai Chi 8 hours a day. But I could come up with squat, man. I could not write a paper, man. I could not explain the Tao, man. I still couldn't write a paper explaining the Tao, but man, I've learned something about the Tao. I don't think I can write a paper, but I might. I don't know why anybody would try to tackle saying what the Tao is. It's a fool's errand to do that. I can't tell you what the Tao is, but man, everything I've talked about in my 18 hours of video is trying to point out the Tao. Alexander technique is the Tao. There's no more superior thing, but everything is the same in learning the Tao, every spiritual practice. For me, I don't know, Kyudo, Zen archery. But it's just whatever you do, a shit pot of it. Tai Chi, when I was doing it 8 hours a day for a year and a half, that was the Tao, man. That was the Tao. But I couldn't write a paper on it. I could not write a paper on it. I did a lot of Kyudo, Zen archery. That was the Tao, baby. There are 1,000 little things that you got to get right, but it ain't exactly about that. I mean, you got to do that too, but that's the main thing you got to do is just practice your Alexander. The biggest thing in Kyudo, the biggest thing there is when you take your head and you're looking here and you turn your head and you look there. But there's 1,000 of those. But there's 1,000 of those. If you get that one right, try this one. If you get that one right, try this one. If you get that one right, try this one. This one is so hard. It takes a lot of strength, but strength don't. It takes a lot of strength. You gotta fucking pull from your belly, man. Your whole back has to kind of, but you don't wanna, it's not about strength, but it's like, you gotta have every fiber of your being going into that thing, but you can't do it in the old way. If you do it in the old way, you might as well go home. And then you gotta be so delicate out here. All this strength, but it's so delicate. So delicate. So delicate. You have to learn to relax your hands, and you have to let your wrists be relaxed and just hang. And everything is supposed to be relaxed. It's got to be relaxed. And everything has got to be strong. It's got to be strong. You have to like intensify all this stuff. You have to intensify you just like, you know, just 100 times intensifying down here things that you never even dream of intensifying. But you got to get much relaxed. And you got to kind of be on the spot, man. And every second is teaching. You just get it wrong 100 million times. 125 million times. There's the little thing you didn't get there, little thing you didn't get there, little thing you didn't get there. Not that you give a shit. I mean, you do give a shit, but you got to not give a shit. It's just, it's not about your ego being built up and doing something hard, right? That ain't it, man. It's about letting go and letting go and letting go and letting go of the old structure, changing, letting go of the old structure, building up this unbelievable new structure of both let go, but also a heaven that works, strong and soft, earth that works, that is really working, man. Your earth is working like you never. And you're standing there, and if 1,000 mounted archers came flying your way, you would never move. You'd be like a mountain. You would not move an inch. You'd just be fired off 7 arrows a minute. Fearless and immovable and light as a feather. I don't know, I didn't keep up with time. Calligraphy. I've not spent the time with calligraphy, but if I'll spend some time. The Regent, there's this thing called stroke practice in the Regent. Regent was a great artist. Or as he would say, I could have been a great artist, I might have continued to pursue it instead of becoming a petty politician. But he said, Craig, you can't believe how long I had to work on that stroke practice. Which you're not supposed to do, You're not supposed to, the instruction is do not think this is some kind of a art course and you're trying to get it right. That ain't it. But there's something to what he was saying. Just working, and there's certain things you gotta do to get that stroke to come off. And he said, you can't believe how many times I had to do that to get it to come off. That's the way it is. Calligraphy, you can pull that stuff off. Get on top of a horse and have Eastern tack and have anybody competent in the building, and that horse will teach you what is what. And here's what that horse will teach you. You are a piece of wood and you got no chance to survive in this world unless you become a different kind of being, a supple being, or a aware being, a being that has a clue what's going on in terms of what's needed, in terms of a good warrior seat to sit that horse and motivate that horse and have that horse have any confidence in you, and the tenderness and the suppleness and the awareness and the forwardness and just the being alive and having some clue about what that might entail. You'll learn it on a horse quicker than anything. You know, meditation cushion, yeah. But if you're a Westerner and you just sit on a meditation cushion, you'll end up a piece of wood. 100% guarantee. 100%. Unless you figure something else out to teach you the Tao, teach you how your body should work. It's easy with the Japanese, they just go study with a traditional teacher and he just bugger. They can't quit, you know. If they quit, their father will never speak to them and then they'll be able to get a job. So there's no option of quitting. They just plow through and by the end they're making something of themselves. You could too.